Here's what every hostage negotiator knows, but nobody ever taught you. The first 30 seconds of any conflict determines whether someone will walk all over you or respect your boundaries for life. And most of us accidentally give away all our power in those crucial moments without even realizing it. You know that sinking feeling when someone disrespects you and you freeze? Or when you respond but somehow make it worse? There's a specific reason that happens, and once you understand it, you'll never be caught off guard again. Let me tell you about Sarah. She had a coworker who constantly interrupted her in meetings, took credit for her ideas, and made condescending jokes at her expense. Sarah tried everything. She confronted him politely. She ignored it. She even went to HR. Nothing changed, but here's what Sarah didn't know. She was playing a game where the rules were rigged against her from the start because she was doing what everyone does when disrespected. Here's the thing. When someone disrespects you, your brain immediately does something that feels right, but is completely wrong. It rushes to defend, explain, or justify yourself. Someone insults your work, you explain why they're wrong. Someone crosses a boundary, you list all the reasons they shouldn't. This feels logical, but to the other person's brain, explanation equals weakness. Think about it. When does a king explain himself to his subjects? Never. When does a doctor justify their diagnosis to someone with no medical training? They don't. The moment you over-explain, you're unconsciously communicating that the other person has the authority to judge you. You're handing them power and asking for it back. They won't give it to you. This is where the hostage negotiator technique comes in, and it's so simple it sounds almost stupid. But I promise you it works. When someone disrespects you, instead of defending or explaining, you do this. You pause, you acknowledge what they said without agreement or disagreement, and then you create what's called a consequence boundary. Let me show you exactly what this looks like. Someone says something disrespectful to you. Instead of immediately reacting, you pause for 2 full seconds. This alone is powerful because it breaks the pattern they expect. They expect defense, emotion, explanation. Silence is unexpected. In those 2 seconds, their brain goes into uncertainty mode, and uncertainty is where you have leverage. Then you say something like, "I heard what you said, that's it." No tone, no emotion, just acknowledgement. You're not agreeing. You're not disagreeing. You're creating what psychologists call a neutral observation. This does something fascinating in the other person's brain. It denies them the emotional reaction they were fishing for. Disrespectful people are looking for supply. They want you flustered, defensive, or small. When you give them nothing, it creates cognitive dissonance. But here's where most people stop, and that's a mistake. The acknowledgement alone isn't enough because it doesn't change future behavior. This is where the consequence boundary comes in, and this is the part hostage negotiators use when someone crosses a line. After the pause and acknowledgement, you clearly and calmly state what will happen next, not as a threat, but as a fact. With Sarah's coworker, instead of saying, "You always interrupt me," and it's disrespectful, which is an accusation that invites argument, she learned to say, "I heard you. I'm going to finish my point, and then you can share yours." No anger, no emotion, just a clear statement of what happens next. The first time she did this, her coworker actually looked confused. He started to interrupt again, and she simply raised one finger, made eye contact, and continued speaking. The entire room dynamic shifted. Why? Because she stopped asking for respect and started embodying it. Now let's talk about why this works on a neurological level, because understanding this will make you unstoppable. Your brain and everyone else's brain has something called a social hierarchy detection system. It's ancient, primitive, and it's always running in the background of every interaction. This system is constantly asking, who has authority here? Who defers to whom? When you explain yourself excessively, justify your boundaries, or get emotional when disrespected, you're sending clear signals to this detection system. I am lower in the hierarchy. I need your approval. Please validate me. The other person's brain registers this, usually unconsciously, and it actually becomes harder for them to respect you even if they want to. You've triggered an ancient pattern, but when you pause, acknowledge without emotion, and state consequences calmly, you're signaling something completely different. You're communicating. I don't need your approval. I'm not asking permission. I'm informing you of reality. This is the exact energy that makes people instinctively respect boundaries. Here's another scenario. Let's say a family member constantly makes jokes about your life choices. You've asked them to stop. They keep doing it because they think it's harmless fun. The old way, "Mom, I've told you a million times that jokes about me being single hurt my feelings. Why don't you ever listen to me? I'm actually really happy with my life, and I don't appreciate it. You see what's happening? You're explaining, justifying, seeking validation. The new way. Mom makes the joke. You pause. Look at her calmly. I've asked you not to make those jokes. If it continues, I'm going to leave. That's it. No emotion. No long explanation. Just a clear boundary with a clear consequence. And here's the critical part. You have to follow through. The first time you don't, you teach them the boundary is negotiable. Following through is where most people fail, and it's why toxic people keep disrespecting them. A boundary without a consequence is just a wish. When you say if you do X, I will do Y, and then you don't do Y, you've actually made the problem worse because now they know your words don't match your actions. But let's address the elephant in the room. You might be thinking, this sounds cold, robotic, harsh. Won't this damage relationships? Here's the counterintuitive truth. It actually improves them. Healthy people respect boundaries. They might be surprised at first. They might even be slightly offended, but they'll adjust. Toxic people will escalate. They'll test you. They'll tell you you've changed, that you're being difficult, that you're overreacting. This is actually great information. It's showing you who's been benefiting from your lack of boundaries. When you start setting them and people get angry, they're not angry that you've changed. They're angry that they can't control you anymore. Let me give you the framework you can use starting today. Sarah did this with her coworker for 2 weeks. He tested her multiple times, tried to make her the problem, even went to their boss about her being difficult. She stayed calm, kept her boundaries clear, and something amazing happened. He started avoiding her. Then he started treating her with basic respect because disrespecting her stopped being fun or effective. This technique works because it aligns your external behavior with internal self-respect. Toxic people can sense the gap between what you say and what you believe about yourself. When there's no gap, when you genuinely believe you deserve respect and your actions reflect that, they have nothing to work with. So here's your action step. Think of one person who regularly disrespects you. Prepare your response right now using this framework. Pause, acknowledge, consequence. Practice saying it out loud until it feels natural, and the next time it happens, use it. You'll be shocked at how quickly the dynamic shifts. Remember, you're not being mean, you're being clear. And clarity is the greatest gift you can give both yourself and others.